Kinsley reporting for Kids First. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Amir Kovacs, writer and producer of Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho, releasing on VOD June 3rd, 2025. Kouvacs brings powerful human-centered narratives to life through his production company, Parting Seas Productions. PSP's goal is to foster empathy and understanding among audience by creating stories that resonate with people from all walks of life. The featured-length animated film, Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho, is the company's debut project. Thank you, Mr. Kouvacs, for joining me on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho depicts the Israelites' conquest of Canaan and the delivery of the Promised Land. What inspired you to create this film?
I wanted to tell the story of the first Israeli general, as I was taught, who took the Israelites from slavery, from bondage, into a promised land. And because I'm a big fan of the Bible and epic, I decided that this story must be told, and I decided to write it a long time ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the animation in this film is also amazing. I especially love the scene where the walls of Jericho are destroyed. How difficult was it to create this scene?
So it's very interesting that you're talking about this specific scene because this was the most important scene in the movie.
Hmm.
The animation was done. I hired an animation studio out of India, very, very talented people. And I was very specific with them and with my director that if we're going to put people through an hour and a half of viewing, what they really want to see is the walls of Jericho, the epic, giant walls of Jericho, those godly walls that no human can take down. And we set for a very, very long time, and we had several takes, several drawings, several animations just to get it right. So it wasn't difficult as much as we had to get it right just to get that epic emotion and feelings of those walls collapse.
Yeah, it was so intricate and I loved it. I really enjoyed the development of the character Rahab, played by Merri Jamison. Why did you choose to focus on her character in the story?
She's the one that had the relationship with the Amorites and the King of Jericho, and at the same time, she developed that relationship with the Israelites. On top of that, Rahab is the one that we're showing that discovered the Israelite God and decided to follow his way into what later on would become a very, very different Rahab. She's by far my favorite character. And I wanted to make sure that she's being played the right way by the right actor. And that's why we also picked Merri Jamison, who did a fantastic job. But Rahab to me is a very strong female lead.
Yeah, she's such an inspiring character. And without giving anything away, what was your favorite scene to create?
My favorite scene to create was the collapse of the walls of Jericho, which I think once the audience will watch the film, they will understand why that was my favorite. That is my favorite scene, and we spent many many hours on that.
I felt like I was there. And if you could describe one of your most memorable moments from creating this film, what would it be?
I think when I gave the green light, I've spent many years writing the screenplay, and seeing your words and your descriptions on paper turn into something that, even though it's animation, now it's live. To hear the actors speak the words that you wrote for them, to see the animators draw the what you had in your mind, what Jericho would look like, what the king of the Amorite would look like, what Salmon would look like, what Joshua would look like, and all of a sudden everything comes to life. Those were very special moments.
And the film is based on a Bible story from the book of Joshua. Why do you think it is important to make religious stories come to life?
I think the Bible has everything we need to know. If I look at many, many movies, from a horror film to a romantic comedy, to any adventure film, to any action film, we have all these stories in the Bible. I do believe that we need to go back to the Bible. I think that the kids have to learn more about the Bible, make their own decisions based on what they study. And I also know that a lot of people don't like to read because it is time consuming and it takes a lot of focus. So I figured, well, if I can bring the Bible to life through animation, that people can enjoy the music and the colors and the sound and the action. And as long as I can stick as loyal as I can to the Bible, even though it is my translation of the story, maybe I can do something good and bring kids to the Bible in a different way than just going to church or synagogue or a mosque. And I don't know, kind of getting back into it. And I think it's morally a great thing.
I agree with that. It's important to help younger audiences understand the Bible and all that.
Well, kids are the future, and I think
Yeah,
kids in many ways are a lot more creative. I remember when I was a kid, which was about 10,000 years ago, I was a lot more creative than I am today because we have no boundaries. Later on in life, we develop those boundaries that unfortunately as adults we have to have. But I think we have a little less worries in many ways, or different worries when we're younger, and we get a lot more creative. And I think if I can contribute to the creativity of the next generation and the one after that, I can say that I've done a lot of the job I'm supposed to do.
definitely. And Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho has very detailed drawings and graphics that make the viewer feel like they're truly part of the story. Why did you decide to animate this film instead of live action?
In many ways, live action, for one reason, live action is, in this case, a lot more expensive. I also think that with animation, you have a lot more control of the actors and how you want the actors to perform. The only thing you need to worry about with animation is to get the animation correctly and get the voiceover of the actors correctly so they're not reading from a text, they're actually being that character. I felt that animation specifically for the younger generation, especially 2D animation in an anime style, will be a lot more beneficial in this instance.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it made it still feel like real life, kind of. And
Thank you.
yeah, and the characters in the movie overcome multiple struggles. How can you relate personally to overcoming obstacles?
You know, I was a soldier a long time ago, and my captain came to me one time. He came to my whole unit one time. We were frustrated and we were exhausted and we wanted to go home, and it was raining and we were on top of the mountain. And he said, "There is not a single wall that you cannot climb on if you choose to climb on that wall." And in many ways, it translates to the word adversity. And I remember later on as an adult, every time I go to a job interview, I always get asked a question: how do you deal with adversity? Which is a certain form of struggle, may it be family, may it be friends, may it be a job. It was very important for me that my characters in this film have this type of challenges every scene that they need to overcome. And if we can show to the young audience that it doesn't matter what challenge faces you in life, you can always overcome it with faith, you can overcome it with a great will and a great desire. And
That,
that was my main thing.
yeah, that's such an important message for the viewers to take in. And thank you so much for talking with me, Amir Kovacs. Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho releases on video on demand June 3rd, 2025. Be sure to check it out. Thank you for talking with me, Amir Kovac. Book of Joshua, Walls of Jericho releases on video on demand June 3rd, 2025. Be sure to check it out. I'm Kinsley reporting for Kids First. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to stay informed about upcoming films. Thank you. Bye.